It's that time once again to talk thoroughbred horse racing on Prime Sports Network. And that means Chad Summers is back, professional horse thoroughbred trainer. Actually, now going on how long, Chad? How long you been a trainer for?
Too long.
20 years?
Too long.
30?
I've been on the track since 2004. So was that 19 years?
Almost 20 years. Okay. Our anniversary's coming up.
Yeah.
When did you? I never asked this. When did you get into it? How old were you?
Well, I thought I was going to be a jockey when I was a kid. I was a freshman in high school. I was 4'10". I weighed 90 pounds. And then I grew to get too tall. And then when I was too tall, I decided to get too fat. So both of them quickly ended the jockey dreams. But I always loved it. Went to the University of Kentucky to be a writer and idolized Joe Hirsch growing up. And I've just kind of been able to do a little bit of everything. I never thought I'd actually be a trainer, and just kind of ended up down that road. But wear many hats and do many things, and we're looking forward to taking the show on the road here in a couple of weeks and heading to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. So now that's what the race is at the end of March.
And the February 25th.
Oh, February 25th.
Yeah. So we head out February 13th. Actually, the horse just got to Florida. We left New York yesterday, beat the cold, and headed to Florida. We'll spend the next 10 days in Florida preparing. It's almost like being in training camp for a big fight, like those boxers. You see the Apollo Creed and the Rocky movies where they go to that training camp to get ready. Yeah. See if we can chase the chickens for 10 days here to get ready to go over there.
What's the horse's name?
Maras.
How do you spell that?
Meraas.
All right. How many starts so far?
For me, 3. He actually started his career in England. He was a grass horse and went to Dubai. Ran 2 times in Dubai, won both of those, including a Group 3 over there. Ended up coming to America, and he's run well. He was 3rd behind Elite Power, who came back and won the Breeders' Cup. Had some trouble in his second start, and then was a really impressive winner last time out. So this has kind of been our plan since I've got him, was to run in this race in Saudi Arabia for $1.5 million, and we're excited for the opportunity. It's going to be a tall task. Will be a little bit of a long shot, but we've had a lot of success internationally before, and we're looking forward to the challenge.
Awesome. Can't wait to follow you over there, and we'll definitely be on top of it. So can't wait to see how that goes. All right, we'll be doing our Kentucky Derby rankings soon, won't we? Maybe when you get back, probably, right? Probably early March. We should start that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, because we might have started earlier last year, but no big deal. It's still early.
I mean, the thing that was cool about last year, I think from the initial list, and you got to go back and take a look, but from the initial top 10 list, I think like 6 or 7 of them ran in the Derby, which I mean, we didn't have the winner, unfortunately. I don't think anybody had Rich Strike, but to have 6 or 7 on that list to make it into the starting gate, so many things change and go every which direction. So to have, a lot of the horses that we liked to make it into that starting gate, it's pretty. We're happy with that.
Yeah, and last year was a very solid field. There's a lot of good horses last year. And that was why it was so strange for an upset in the Derby. Of all derbies, there'd be an upset.
Well, I mean, this year it's interesting. I mean, obviously Arabian Night last week was very, very impressive in the Southwest Stakes and the Slop. That's Bob Baffert. We're dealing with the same thing we dealt with last year. He's in court actually as we speak right now in Kentucky trying to get it overturned. But if it doesn't, then on February 28th, all his horses have to be moved to try and accrue points to make it to the Kentucky Derby. So it'll be interesting to watch along as that saga continues. I feel like it's a Univision special, but it is what it is.
How long does that go on for, potentially?
I mean, it was supposed to be one day just yesterday, and it's already dragged into today, so we'll see what happens. Baffert didn't testify yesterday, but it's more or less the same exact case and the same situation that they all argued about last year. It's just a new judge, so
okay,
we'll see what happens this time.
Is he going to keep doing it? How long does he have to keep doing this for?
Well, I mean, at this stage, this is about it. The suspension's actually over the day after the Kentucky Derby, so I would think this would be the last kind of ditch effort.
That's good. Speaking of Baffert, he's pretty much owning that Santa Anita Derby prep race.
Look, I mean, last week, not only did he win with Arabian Lion on Saturday, shipping him to Arkansas, Arabian Night, shipping him to Arkansas, but he had three of the four horses and four of the five entered in the Derby Prep on Sunday, which he was first, second, and third. And now he runs in a race on Saturday, the Robert Lewis, which is supposed to be a point race, but because his horses aren't eligible, gets no points. He has all four horses that entered, and he had 16 of the 18 nominations. So nobody's even thinking about entering a race against him. So it's an embarrassment of riches. He seems well armed again with just a litany of top horses, and we'll see as they kind of start separating themselves out. You know what happens and where they go, including Cave Rock, a horse we talked about on the show a lot last year, favored for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, ended up getting beat by Forte. He's yet to work, but he is galloping regularly. Insanity, and I would imagine we'd see his first work probably this weekend.
All right. So again, that's the Robert B. Lewis in Santa Anita. That's one of the Derby prep races. The other one was canceled or suspended.
Yeah, so we got they called for really, really cold weather. We've been blessed in New York. We haven't had any snow. Really, other than Christmas, it hasn't really been too cold. And Mother Nature decided to make an appearance as February roars in, and cancel racing on Friday, cancel racing on Saturday. So the Withers was scheduled for Saturday, drew a field of 6. We'll back that up a week. It's going to run next Saturday and could actually get a few more horses. I know that Todd Pletcher was thinking about sending one that didn't have a good work. That's going to work again on Saturday in Florida. If he works well, he'll ship back up. Bill Mott might have one. So it could be a different field than the one that was originally drawn for the Withers, and we'll wait and see as they draw that next week, and we'll see what happens with that. That's another 40-point race, 20 points to the winner. So definitely one we'll talk about next week.
Yeah, because we were going to have to decide on the 3 this week. Now we don't have to worry about that. We can just go ahead and push one over to next week. Works out. So we'll talk about the Withers next week as our main race. Hopefully everything stays the same. This week it's going to be Gulfstream Park, and the main race, of course, is going to be the Holy Bull. That'll be race 12, but we're going to do race 11 first. So this way you get some doubles if you like. And to me, looking over this field, the favorite of the race, the 7, Cairo Consort, this is like one of those sheets versus like form races. And I say that because the sheets aren't really as kind on this horse as you would think looking just at the daily racing form. Pletcher, I read Ortiz, 1 for 1 at Gulfstreams, been in the big races, finished really well. But the sheets are only saying the last 3 races, 17, 16, and an 18 last time out. So that's always an interesting comparison. What do you think? I mean, do you think that because I know you're always on the fence with the sheets and their numbers, but what do you think about?
I think I've thought predominantly the Woodbine sheets are more kind than some of the other places.
Oh.
I feel like their numbers are a little bit quicker, maybe with the running on the poly track or the grass, whatever it is. I've always found the Woodbine numbers seem a little quicker than other places. This horse was based in Woodbine, was a nice horse, ran second in the Group 1 Natalma, ran well in the Breeders' Cup, sold the night after the Breeders' Cup for $875,000. Town and Country Farm, Napoli Stable. So that last race was Todd's first with her. She's not the biggest horse in the world. I thought that was a premium price to pay, $875,000. She did get the victory and get the job done. I think there's some others that were in that race last time that'll come back at her this time. It makes sense that she's the favorite. You think that maybe a start under her belt with Todd, she'll kind of move forward and improve off this race. So certainly a deserving favorite. But look, this is a great race.
Yeah.
There's 6 graded stakes races on the day. This is probably the best gambling race on the entire card because, like you said, look, yes, it makes sense. You understand why Cairo is the favorite, but you can also make cases that, you know what, maybe there are some chinks in the armor and she is a little bit of a vulnerable favorite.
Yeah, the 3 horses that I singled out. We'll start with the 1, Sweet Lou's got. Wait, what is that?
Aces. Sweet Lou's got aces.
Okay, Sweet Lou's got aces. So Sweet Lou got aces. Is Rosario on board? Second time. 1 first time out, wire to wire. What I like about this horse is in 4 races, 3 13s. That's pretty strong, including coming right out of the gate with a 13 first time out. And the horse is gradually getting a little bit longer as far as the distance, which is nice because this is a mile and a 16th, and he went a mile last time, which was the farthest that he's gone. But consistent, very very consistent with the 13s.
Look, she ran a 13 first time out and really caught the eye of a lot of people. Some of the Sheets guys actually bought into her after that first race. There was a maiden race that ran second and everything else. So I think since then she was okay, maybe a little bit disappointing in the two maiden races following that. Ran in the stake last time out at Aqueduct. And the thing to note about that race, and this is a nice horse, don't get me wrong, but it was pouring down rain at that time. The track was listed, the turf course was listed as good. I wouldn't even call it good. I think it was more soft than good. She made a clear lead, and nobody was able to come catch her. I thought Georgia Abreu had a horse in there that was really live and just never really got going until it was too late. So she was able to dictate and do everything her own way. I don't know that she's able to do that in this race. Yeah. And you're talking about a really, really cold operation. Ray Handel's winless so far at the Gulfstream meet, and Joel Rosario just really struggling so far at this Gulfstream meet. So while perennially you say, oh, Joel Rosario, he's on board, that's a positive. Right now, I'm going to take a wait-and-see approach with Sweet Lou's Got Aces, who is the second choice right now, 41 Morning Line.
Yeah, and then another horse that intrigued me is a long shot, and that's the 6 Balsara, because we just talked about the 13s with the 1s. Well, the 6... the last 2 races were 14s, one on turf, one off the turf, one last time out. So again, if I'm trying to make some money, of course, I notice those 2 14s and I go, okay, well, what about this one?
I just don't see the consistency enough from that one. I know the numbers might say that she's right there and she's sitting on a big effort, but that barn's kind of hit or miss. And there's a few others in here that I really kind of take note of, starting with the number 2 horse, the Bill Mott trained horse for Godolphin, Padma. If you watch the replay, now the winner of that race was a filly for Patrick B. and Co. named Infinite Wisdom that was really, really good. She was like eye-catching good. And I thought Padma kind of got lost in the shuffle there because she was second best. But, man, I'm telling you, Padma ran good that day, and I just had a lot of respect. I know it was on the dirt. Now this is first-time turf.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of respect for the effort from Padma. And like I said, Infinite Wisdom was one that really caught my eye. So I think that's a chance to be a key race. So I do want to give Padma a shot at 6-1. Bill Mott has really good numbers when he switches horses dirt to turf. He's not a guy I'd be afraid of on a surface switch. So that was one that I thought was interesting. Another one was the other Todd Pletcher horse in this race with Louis Saez. It's a daughter of Justify. What number is that? The 5? Is that the 5?
That is the 5 Alpha Bella.
Yeah. So it's a daughter of Justify. The whole female family just screams grass. They ran her on the dirt the first 3 starts for her life and better. She took a lot of money. I know it's Todd, and Todd's supposed to take money. I get it. But with her pedigree, she was supposed to be a grass horse, and she must have been working good enough on the dirt that they said, let's run her on the dirt. And her races were okay. She didn't finish. She kind of ran like a grass horse. They finally put her on the grass last time, and I thought she really she did what she was supposed to do and looked like a grass horse. So I like this step up. Obviously, they know that they have the other horse. They know how good Cairo Consort is, but I like the fact that they're taking a shot with the second filly. And certainly Louis Saez is riding as good as anybody right now. So that was one that I really thought was interesting. And then if you wanted to take a price, I'd maybe go to the outside.
Yes.
Jose Ortiz aboard. This horse was second last time to Cairo Consort. And in her last 2 races, she just takes too long. She's flying at the end of the races. She just hasn't got there yet. If Jose Ortiz can time that late run of hers well, then she'll be in a good position. But we got to watch
more distance now. That could help, right?
Correct. But we got to watch the weather. They do call for a chance of rain, and we'll see if this race gets moved to the all-weather surface. But even on the all-weather surfaces, the one thing that I found here is closers seem to do well here. So even if the race gets taken off the turf, I'd imagine most of the race will stay intact, and I wouldn't lose any confidence at all in the outside filly, who I think is she 15 to 1 morning line?
12 to 1.
12 to 1 morning line. She's one I thought just at a price. She's going to come with that late run. And maybe I didn't think she should be 12 to 1 when Cairo Consort is your favorite. It seemed kind of strange. There was only a half length between them last time out.
Yeah, that's true. The sheets, let's see. Stephanie's Charm, the 3 races on turf. First was a 17, then a 20, 19 this year. And then the Alpha Bella First time on turf was a 20. Matter of fact, she's got 320s out of the 4 races so far. Both of those closers, because even though Stephanie's Charm wasn't able to catch Consort last time out, Alpha Bella just caught whoever it was that she passed right there at the end. And that was in
Yeah.
a 1 mile race as well. So,
Yeah. No, I mean, look, they obviously they need to get faster, right? I mean, but
yeah.
the thing is,
But they're young.
and I think it's important when you look at sheets and buyers and stuff like that. Horses change so much over the
Yes.
next 4 or 5 months that if you have a horse running 20s, there's no reason to think that she can't move up to a 16, a 15,
Yeah.
in one start. They do have that possibility from start to start as they grow and mature and just kind of figure out the game.
Yeah, I mean, bottom line is you are, and look, this is gambling, and that's what you're doing. You are gambling that the horse will make that step up, but why not? I mean, there are potentially signs that you have to try to figure out, which is exactly what you're doing here. What about the other horse I was interested in was the 8, Heavenly Sunday, because you got Cox and Gaffleone on board for the first time, 2 for 2 so far, 21 first time out, but then stretched a little bit to a mile at Keeneland, went from a 21 to a 14. Now, normally I'd be, well, a bounce situation might apply here, but the horse has had 3 months off, so I'm not really too concerned with the bounce factor. So what about Heavenly Sunday?
Yeah, and I think that's by design. I think certainly the connections are pretty sharp, and they're cognizant of there could be a bounce possibility or anything like that. So, look, she's been impressive. I mean, she doesn't have the strongest page in the race, or she might not be the biggest and fastest, but you can't knock anything she's done in her 2 starts. And look at. It's an interesting spot. Obviously, there's not a lot of spots right now for 3-year-old fillies. So for Brad Cox, to leave the comforts of his fairgrounds and Oaklawn base. I mean, Oaklawn has no grass, and fairgrounds grass course is terrible. So he wants to take a shot here in Gulfstream, and let's see what happens.
The only thing I was worried about with Padma was the fact that she ran a 10 last time, which is 5 off her best, and now she's got to come right back within a month, and that's where we might have a bounce situation. That's the only thing that I was a little bit concerned with.
It could be, but again, in Mott we trust, and right now Bill Mott can do no wrong. I mean, talk about just an unbelievable day last weekend. Last Saturday, it's kind of continued on. He's the hottest trainer on the grounds right now.
Okay.
And he's a Hall of Fame trainer for a reason. He's not throwing this filly in just to try and get her a little, graded black type. She's a young 3-year-old. I mean, to me, I take it as a positive sign. It's interesting because I kind of handicap trainers as much as I handicap the horse. And so if Bill Mott wants to run the horse back in 3 weeks, a month, I'm okay with that. Whereas if that was somebody else, I might say, oh man, that guy's crazy.
Okay.
So, I think a lot of that has to do with, experience and things like that. And nobody's more experienced than Bill Mott.
And let's see. That pretty much does it. There's only 2 other horses in the field. Those are 10 and 15 to 1 shots. But Cairo Consort right now is the favorite at 2 to 1. And your top long shot in the field is going to be Stephanie's Charm at 12 to 1. All right. So that is going to be race 11. And again, a lot of options. By the way, at that 2 horse, the Padma, right now the odds are 5 to 1. What do you not want to see those odds at? Where you go, nah, it's a little bit too low for me.
I don't care.
You don't care? Okay.
No, I mean, I don't think the race is kind of so spread out that I think everybody's going to take money. I don't see all of a sudden like everyone going, oh, Padma's, we got to make her the 5 to 2 favorite. I mean, I think she stays close to that. Maybe she can drop as low as 7 to 2, but if she is first time turf, but even at that, I mean, that's better than you get at the bank reserve. So
yeah.
I think it's fair odds. You're banking on the fact that she's going to like the grass, and that's
Yes.
what you got to hold your head on.
Okay, now the Derby prep race, the Holy Bull, grade 3, 250 purse, 3-year-olds.
Ironically, by the way, Greg, I do have to say, I do think the Derby prep race at Gulfstream Park on Saturday, I think is like the 7th race. It's an allowance race going a mile where Todd Pletcher has 2 horses. I think either of those 2 horses are better than everything in the Holy Bull. So I'm interested in that race.
Really?
to see kind of what happens. That Triple Trice, Tapit Trice, is a really nice horse, $1.3 million horse that broke his maiden at Aqueduct, and the other horse. I think his name Shazurskin is named after the goalie for the Rangers. Very, very fast horse for Todd. So that to me. I know it's ironic, and we're going to obviously talk about the Holy Bull, but I think those two horses will have a bigger say in the Triple Crown than anything we're going to see in the Holy Bull.
And why weren't those horses
I
in the
don't
Holy
know.
Bull?
I don't know. I mean, you can run on Lasix. I think you have to take that into consideration. They both just broke their maiden. Maybe Todd just wants to give them a little bit more seasoning before running into the big races. And I mean, look, it is a point based structure, but these 20 points aren't end all be all. The next ones are 50 and then 100 after that. So Todd's taking a little bit of a conservative approach. He has nothing in the Holy Bull. It's not like he ran something in the Holy Bull and runs easy in the allowance race. He easily could have run one or both in the Holy Bull. And elected to go for the allowance race for whatever reason.
So this was the 1 mile race, the eighth
Yeah,
race.
yeah.
Okay.
No, it's a must. It's a must watch for those fans that like to follow kind of the Triple Crown watch and stuff like that. Regardless, there will be the winner will certainly, I would imagine, come back next in the Fountain of Youth or somewhere else. I mean, Todd obviously has Forte, the 2-year-old champion, pointing for the Fountain of Youth next. So we'll see. Todd might have to start getting in that van and starting getting those miles on the vans.
All right. Well, again, that should go off about 3:15 on Saturday. All right. Let's talk about the Holy Bull now. And so I'm looking at the top 4 horses based on the morning line odds. And what I decided to do was, again, because I use the sheets so much in my handicapping, is, well, I should probably stay away from 2 of the horses because they're coming off sheet tops of 6 and 10. But if I go with the other 2, I'm only coming off sheet tops of 3 and 4. Those 2 that I was keeping an eye on that I think might be a good play, or the best plays based on those numbers, would be Legacy Isle is the 6 horse at 7-2. So he's gotten better each time, 19-17 up to 13 last time out, won all 3 races. The trainer's off to actually he's having a very good meet. And I've never really had us talk too much about this trainer. Tell us a little bit about, was this Crichton?
Yeah, Rohan Crichton. He was actually an accountant in Jamaica for a long time. I shared a barn with him at Calder many moons ago.
Really?
Yeah, he wins a lot of races. Very sharp guy. Keeps his eye on the ball at all times, and hasn't really had that Derby horse. He spent a lot of his time kind of playing the claiming game. Buy a horse or here or there at the sales, not spending a lot of money. Didn't have clients that would kind of give him that Derby kind of horse. And look, this horse has done nothing wrong. He was disqualified last time. It was a little bit of a controversial disqualification in the Mucho Macho Man, and they make a rider switch. So Luis Ayes is going to hop on here and. Hopefully, you just kind of keep him more straight than last time.
Okay, and then the other horse was also a 7-2 shot, Rocket Can. Now, this horse has also done well the last 3 out on the sheets, including the last 2, 15 and 12. Broke his maiden in the Churchill race in October, and then ran second last time out running that 12 at Churchill. So what about, this is a Mott horse, what about Rocket Can?
Yeah, look, the Mott barn continues to hit on all cylinders. The horse ran behind Instant Coffee, actually, in his maiden race at Saratoga. Came back and improved and broke his maiden next time out at Churchill, and then ran second behind Confidence Games. Now, Confidence Games was a horse that was kind of the buzz horse off that race in the Lecomte, and kind of disappointed. Didn't really do a lot of running in that race. They think that this horse is training well and doing well, and they're optimistic about him. It's one of 2 horses in the race for Bill Mott. This is the one they prefer, but I want to see this horse take that next step forward. I don't know where his ceiling is. He needs to improve a little bit for me. I thought kind of Confidence Games was loose on the lead and he was able to hold him off. The horse ran a good second, but never appeared to like the victory was never in doubt for Confidence Games. So this horse, I think, needs to improve from 2 to 3, which is certainly possible.
How much do you read into the fact that, like, if I, as a novice, will see, well, let's see here. Alvarado was on board the first 2 times he raced Rocket Can, didn't race well at all. Velasquez gets on board, Saez gets on board. The horse has 2 best races. Now they're back on Alvarado. Does that come into play at all?
the last time that Luis Saez took off a Bill Mott horse, he won the Pegasus, and Junior Alvarado was the victor. So,
Okay.
look, there is some things to it sometimes, but you have to understand. Look, Junior is the go-to rider for Bill Mott, and he rides a lot of his horses. So he wasn't at Churchill. That's why he didn't ride him at Churchill.
Got it.
And he's breezed the horse many times. He knows the horse very well, and certainly the way Junior's riding right now, just got his 2000th career victory. You don't have too many concerns with Junior
Sure.
aboard.
And look, it could also be two other things. Maybe the horse prefers Churchill over Saratoga, and maybe the
Sure.
horse prefers distance. So,
Well, and
who knows?
I think just Bill Mott's horses in general just get better with experience.
All right. Now, the other two that I was mentioning coming off big tops, first of all, one of them is the one, Lord Miles. This is one of the two Safi Joseph horses. 23 first time out. And then the last race, which was January 1st, ran a 13. So that was a 10 top. Now has to come off the 10 top. What about Lord Miles?
Well, this is where the sheets love one thing more than they love anything else, and that's distance lost. And if you watch the replay of the race, the horse stopped and got a hot dog at the top of the stretch. So he was just so wide and lost so much ground. But it's the way the race was run. He was never going to win. He wasn't really into it, and made that late run. After the race, Safi Joseph said he wouldn't trade places with anybody on the Derby Trail. He thinks the horse is a good horse. He thinks the horse is going to improve. He needs to, because even though he ran a 13, he was still the third best horse in the race last time out in Mucho Macho Man. And I don't know that he's that much faster or better than Rohan Crichton's horse or Dale Roman's horse. So to me, I'm on more of a wait and see approach than I am all in on Lord Miles.
And then the other favorite, you mentioned the Dale Roman's horse. This is the favorite at 2-1. Last year, the 18, 16, 17, so nothing awful, nothing special, but ran at Gulfstream early January and ran an 11. So that was a top of 5, actually, from the 16, but also, from the last race was a 6 top. So what about Cyclone Mischief potentially bouncing in this race at 2-1?
Well, the question with Cyclone Mischief is, was it the Lasix last time? Okay. So he was first time Lasix, and he popped and he ran a huge race. He's always kind of been well thought of. Dale Romans isn't shy about liking his horses. He ran against Instant Coffee in the Jockey Club, and they went slow. He had no excuse, and he was beaten that day. Now, granted, he wasn't beaten by much, but he was beaten that day, and that race looks to be a key race, as a lot of horses have come out of there and run well. The thing about this horse is how he did it last time. It was an allowance race, but it was a pretty loaded allowance race. Todd Pletcher had two well thought of maiden winners in there that he was very high on. There was a couple others in there that were buzz horses and things like that, and he just crop dusted them. I mean, he just absolutely toyed with them. He was much the best. He was the most impressive horse the entire day of races that day, and he looked like a horse that would relish more distance, and it would be no problem. The way this race sets up, you would imagine he'll be able to kind of have a say in where he is, whether he's on the lead or near it, which is kind of a good running style for Gulfstream Park. Dale Romans has been on the Derby Trail many times before and would like nothing more than to win his first Derby. At 2-1, can you completely trust this horse? That's going to be the question. But to me, he is the deserving favorite. That race, and I understand it was with Lasix, and now there's no Lasix, but that race was the best race that anybody in the entire race ran. So
Yes.
so he comes in where, at least, listen, if he repeats that race, everybody else is running for second.
Sure.
So the question then goes, will he repeat that race? Will he bounce? Was it the Lasix? There's questions you ask yourself that you can sit there. If you're trying to make a win bet and trying to bet against him, I can understand. But if you're playing daily double or pick 3 or pick 4, you have to include him in your ticket. You can't not use him because he is that much better. And at least that race is that much better than anything anybody else has run, in my opinion.
All right, and this is only an 8-horse field, so we've talked about 4 of the top contenders. Is there another horse or two that you like as far as a bargain?
I think it's a fact-finding mission for some of these. Shadow Dragon, we ran against first time out, very, very expensive New York bred purchase for Peachtree. Was very good. As good as he was first time, as bad as he was second time. I think he needs to get faster. Mr. Bob was a horse that was claimed for $75,000 at Saratoga. He won a very rarely seen maiden claiming $150,000 claiming race at Keeneland. The question with him is, does he want to go that far? He missed the break last time, and he kind of rushed up or tried to rush up, make a move, and kind of ran out of time and finished where he finished. Young trainer Robert Falcone is hopeful that with a better break that he'll be in the race earlier and it'll be a different situation. But he's going to have to prove that, because I still think there's a chance that he may be better at one turn than around two turns. The other Safi Joseph horse, West Coast Cowboy, is another one. Look, ran well, business-like a winner first time out, but he needs to get faster if he's going to be a factor in this race. And who's the last horse?
Oh, we also have Shadow Dragon.
Yeah,
we talked about
that was
Shadow
the
Dragon.
horse, yeah.
Miracolo,
Yeah,
Miracolo,
Miracolo.
Miracolo.
Il Miracolo is Antonio Sano running on his home track, just running to see if he can get lucky. The horse just appears to be way too slow.
Who do you like a particular horse in this field over the others?
I mean, look, to me, Dale Roman's horse of Chasing Legacy, he's the one that I'm most anxious to see, because he's, from what I've seen, unless one of these other horses take a giant step forward. And I understand. Look, the 13 number-wise, at least from a sheet standpoint, would put Safi's horse, Lord Miles, in the mix of it in any Derby prep. I mean,
sure,
these Derby horses haven't been extremely fast so far this year. But he needs to turn that 13 into a victory rather than just hey, I ran a 13 on the sheets.
Yes.
So to me, it's Dale Roman's race to lose. Yeah. Do you want to see if Rocket Can can improve? Do you want to see if Lord Miles can improve? Absolutely. But it goes through Dale Roman. So it's not maybe the best betting race per se. Because I don't have enough reasons to bet against Dale Roman.
Yeah, sure.
And I don't have enough reasons to bet for one of the other horses. It was tough for me to make a strong case for any of the other horses. They're all okay.
Yeah.
But I really want to see more from all of these horses as they kind of continue their quote unquote march to the Kentucky Derby. Not the strongest running of the Holy Bull. But there is going to be 40 points given, 20 points to the winner. And again, if Dale Roman's horse is able to double down and run that same race he ran last time, he jumps into everybody's top 10, top 5 on the Derby watch list. So right now, I think he's a little bit, 17, 18s, 20s. He jumps to the top 10 if he runs well this weekend. So I think all eyes are on Dale.
And then we'll find out how if Safi Joseph's confidence is warranted with Lord Miles as well. So
correct.
So keep an eye there. And next week, again, the Withers. Don't forget to check out Race 8 at Gulfstream, as Chad mentioned. So again, what are those two horses to keep an eye on in that race?
What's that?
The 8th race?
Is Tapit Trice.
Tapit Trice at 9 to 5.
I think the goalie on the Rangers. What's his name? Sherzaskin.
Oh, that's right. Shesterkin.
Yeah.
At 8 to 5.
Yeah.
Pletcher horses.
2 Pletcher horses.
Got it.
And
all right.
What will look like, I think, a paid workout. I believe there'll be 1, 2. I'm just not sure what order yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can make much money even on an exact day.
No. The way Gulfstream plays, it should play into Sherzaskin because he's the faster of the two. But I'll tell you what, this Tapit Trice, he's a beautiful, beautiful, big, strapping gray horse. I'm looking forward to seeing him again. But he doesn't break that sharp, and he's going to have to put himself in position. Kendrick Carmouche gave him a great ride when he broke his maiden last time at Aqueduct. Got a good number. It came out as a pretty good race. Slip Mahoney, who was second by a nose in that race, came back and beat another Pletcher horse at Aqueduct in the race after that, and they were 15 clear of third. So there's a lot to notice, and look, when you're talking about a $1.3 million Tapit Todd Pletcher horse, you got to pay attention.
Chad, appreciate it. I'll let you go. Can't wait to talk about the Withers, and then after that, we'll follow you, of course, overseas. We're looking forward to that as well.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Chad. All right, that's Chad Summers, professional horse trainer here on Prime Sports Network. Want to remind everybody, don't forget, check us out, not only for our thoroughbred racing, but also for all of the other shows that we have where we handicap sports. If you're a big college basketball fan, we're going to be getting into March Madness real soon, starting probably in a couple of weeks right after the Super Bowl. So that'll be a month and a half of college basketball action with Mark Lawrence, Hall of Fame handicapper. So look out for that. Of course, Super Bowl coming up. So we'll preview the Super Bowl next week with Mark and with Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post. So I believe that's going to be on Wednesday. It's also that time of year for motorsports. There's a motorsports race on Sunday, and then the Daytona 500 coming up right after that. So you got the Daytona 500 coming up the week after the Super Bowl. So NASCAR kicking into full gear, and F1 and IndyCar racing as well. So again, if you're somebody who likes to gamble on all sorts of sports, including the ones that we cover here, make sure to check out those other shows. And if you also wind up doing pretty well here on this show, thanks to our information, you might want to consider donating to the channel. Again, the thanks icon on the bottom of the screen, you just click that. You could donate anything you like from $2 on up. And let us know what you think, too. We haven't had any comments or questions or anything like that over the last few weeks. The viewership has gone up. I'm really happy about that. But come on, let us know what you think. We got any questions for Chad? Let us know what's on your mind, and then we'll read those questions on the air on our next show. So make sure to do that. I believe the last person who donated to the channel was Brian back on January 20th. And if you're wondering about the donations, again, I've said it before, that's not only to improve the channel, but it's also especially for this specific show, any of these donations come in, that's going to be awesome, because I'm personally going to be able to use those for hopefully a trip to Belmont to cover the Belmont Stakes in the summer and spend a couple of days behind the scenes with Chad. So fingers crossed we can get that accomplished in 2023, and I don't have to wait till 2024. But anyway, also the donations, in case you are not familiar with the donations, 50% of the donations that come in go to myself, and then the other 50% goes to Chad. Chad's taking 50% of his donations, and he is going to donate that to the Permanent Disabled Jockeys Fund and Old Friends for Retired Horses. So keep that in mind as well. All right, so that'll wrap it up for our horse racing coverage. We'll be back again next week. If you're wondering about live shows, like I said with Chad, it's a little hit or miss. I don't want to say, hey, we're doing a live show, we're alerting everybody, and then we have to change it. That's not good. So we'll see if we can get on a rhythm here after Chad gets back from Dubai. And then if we get in a rhythm, then we'll go back to some live programming. Definitely we'll have a live program for the Kentucky Derby. I mean, we're going to work on that and any of those really big races. So we'll definitely do that. And we'll obviously let you know when we're going to do that, because then you're wondering, well, what's the difference, live, whatever? Well, we get to actually look for your comments and questions as we're doing the show, so we can basically communicate with you live. And I think that's part of the fun. So that'll wrap it up. Good luck on Saturday. And again, thanks to Chad. We'll see you guys next week.